Hi, it's really nice to meet you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm Emma from the Louisville Political Review. We're a political newspaper on campus. So do you want to just introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Craig Greenberg. I'm a candidate for mayor of Louisville. It's always great to be on U of L's campus. I just love universities. I love university life, and it's great to be here. So I look forward to having a conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to just start by telling us a little bit about why you're running, some of your main platforms, what you want to accomplish, stuff like that.
Sure. I'm running for mayor of Louisville because I'm tired of the same old happening in Louisville. I am ready for big changes in Louisville. I think the whole city is ready for big changes. Right now, we have big challenges across the entire city. But just as I have my whole life and career, when I see big challenges, I see even bigger opportunities. So I'm really excited about what might be. And working with folks like you and others on this campus, working with students across the entire county, working with people from across the entire city to be a part of the solution that want to make Louisville safer, that want to make it a stronger, more vibrant city, that want to make it a more just city, that want to make it a healthier city. So that's really what I'm focusing on. First and foremost is public safety. To me, that is the biggest issue facing our city right now, is we have too much violent crime. We have too much crime, period. I know it's impacting students here on U of L's campus. It's impacting every neighborhood in Louisville. And so we must have a comprehensive plan. We don't need any more studies. We all know what the problems are. We all know what the solutions are. It's time for action and make Louisville a safer city across the whole city.
So do you want to speak to some
Sure.
specific policy solutions that you would like to implement?
Sure, I think we need to take a very comprehensive approach to making Louisville a safer city. So I'll break that up into several different areas. First, I think it does start with police, and I think we should strive to have the best police department in America. To me, what that means is the most trained, the most trusted, and the most transparent police department in America. I think together that will give us a police department that focuses on community policing, which is working on preventing crime. So officers that are working with their individual neighborhood that they're responsible for, that gets to know the neighborhood, that works with neighborhood leaders, that would work with university leaders, that work with members of the clergy to really help prevent crime from happening. And then if crime does happen, that they really have the resources necessary to solve the crimes. Right now, some of our most violent crimes are going unsolved. 2/3 of all homicides in Louisville are unsolved. That's a problem. And so that's law enforcement. But I also don't believe we can just simply police our way to safety. We need lots of other solutions as well.
So just one more note on policing.
Sure.
You were talking about longer training times. Do you know what that would look like?
Well, it's not just longer training times, but also the areas of training as well. So it's lifelong training for officers while they're on the job, and a type of training. So really a focus on de-escalation, on focus on racial bias training to make sure they have all the resources that they need to truly engage in community policing with neighborhoods.
Okay, so you're talking about sort of redirecting funds towards different types of training, lifelong training, but not necessarily taking funds away from the police department or reducing the police force.
I have been very clear that I believe in fully funding and fully staffing the police department. Right now, Louisville's police department, LMPD, is about 300 officers short of a full staff. That's 25% of their fully authorized team. I think that's a problem. I think that we need more officers that are trained along the ways I'm talking about to provide that comprehensive community policing that we need to make Louisville safer. But again, I also don't think we can just police our way to safety. There are some proven initiatives like group violence intervention where research has shown in other cities that it's a very small group of people that commit the most violent crime. And so these are intensive intervention efforts to reach out to those individuals and give them new opportunities in life. We also need to provide more mental health services for those who are in need of mental health before they commit crimes, ideally. We need to invest in the long-term solution is investing in the root causes of crime and poverty. And I think we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do all of these things right now. Too often, people say, oh, we don't have the money to do this or that. Right now, that is not an excuse. The federal government is investing hundreds of millions of dollars in our city, that there's funds available to do all of these programs, to invest in everything from infrastructure in low-income communities that have been ignored for my entire lifetime, as well as to support our police department with the resources that they need. And one thing people forget a lot in Louisville, right now the Department of Justice, the federal Department of Justice is in Louisville investigating our police force. Odds are by the time the next mayor takes office, we will be operating under a federal consent decree. So that there is an opportunity with that to get additional federal resources to implement all of these things, from after-school programs to give more teens and young adults more enrichment, educational, and job opportunities, to investing in the root causes of crime and poverty, to these group violence intervention programs, to training for police. We're going to have the resources to do all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I sort of heard you say was to address infrastructure, and I want to dig a little bit deeper as
Sure.
it goes to affordable housing.
Thank you.
Because from my perspective, one of the biggest root causes of crime is poverty.
Yep.
And one of the biggest ways to ensure that the cycle of generational poverty can be broken is to provide affordable housing so that nobody is homeless and so that, families can pull themselves out of poverty. If you want to speak to some specific policy initiatives that you would support as regards to affordable housing.
I totally agree with what you just said, and that to me was the second area in the original conversation. What do I want to focus on? I want to focus on public safety. I want to focus on affordable housing. I want to focus on the homeless issue, and I want to focus on bringing our city together that right now I believe is too divided. Mm-hmm. So in terms of affordable housing, you're 100% right. Studies show that we have about 30,000 too few units of affordable housing in our city. I pledged on the day I announced to help build 15,000 new affordable housing units during my first term. There are many ways to do it. One is to leverage these federal dollars that are coming in, working with nonprofit organizations and other local businesses to do that. These affordable housing units need to be across our entire city. We shouldn't just put them all in one area. They should be near good paying jobs, near an improved public transportation route, and near healthcare facilities. It should be all across our city. Also, when people talk about affordable housing, they often just talk about rental housing, apartments. I think we also need to focus on for sale housing. We need to give more families the opportunity not just to have a safe and secure roof and place that they call home, but they need to have an opportunity to start creating wealth for their family, to build the equity in a home and have that generational wealth that can be passed down from generation to generation. So I really want to focus on more for sale housing, particularly in areas that have lots of vacant abandoned lots. Every vacant and abandoned lot in a low-income neighborhood, I believe, should be transformed into a new, well-designed, energy-efficient home that helps give a family a safe and affordable house, but also helps improve the neighborhood, creates a safer neighborhood, creates a greener neighborhood. All of these things that I think will help transform neighborhoods and help improve people's lives.
So are you talking about like seizing and redistributing property that's gone vacant, or?
No, there are many vacant and abandoned lots across our city that people haven't paid the taxes on. And so there's a process by which if people basically give up their property because they're not caring for it or they're not paying their taxes on it. Right now, the city owns hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these lots. I want to put those back into good use, to give them to families that are going to build their own home, to start their life with a new, to really live the American dream by having a new home.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to pivot a little bit, an important topic that's come up recently in the state of Kentucky is that Louisville obviously is one of the economic engines of the state of Kentucky, but we do exist within a larger red state. So one of the questions that I have for you is, how will you as mayor work to improve relations not only between the communities in Louisville, but between the larger city of Louisville and the state of Kentucky?
That's a great question, something that I've been focused on a lot, because we do have to, I'm a proud Democrat running for mayor, and the reality is, for the duration of my time as mayor, if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, there will in all likelihood be a Republican state legislature. And that's okay. We need to be able to work with everyone. I've talked a lot about the importance of relationships, whether it's strengthening the mayor's relationship with the Metro Council, so there's a great working relationship here at home, or whether it's working with the General Assembly and the state legislature in Frankfurt. There are going to be a lot of issues we might disagree on. But we need to be able to have those relationships so when there are issues that are important to Louisville, particularly when it comes to public safety and moving the economy forward and education, we can work together to help to have the state government help Louisville and help citizens of Louisville make our city safer, make it better educated, make it more just, help us create more good paying career path jobs. And so I think it's critically important to have those relationships. And I've been reaching out to people across the state, across the city, regardless of their political party, to listen from them, to try to learn from them, and to establish relationships so we can work together on those issues where we can find common ground.
Awesome. So it sounds like to you, working with the state legislature looks like having lots of personal relationships and trying to move forward based on common ground.
I think that's critical. And
Yeah.
I think people work with people who they respect, who they know, who they like, and that to me is critically important. And I can't do it alone, though. It's not just a one-person job. All of these issues with mayor take a true team of people, and so that's one of the things I'm most excited about is assembling a very diverse, amazing group of people from across our city who share the same values, who share the same goals, and I want to empower them to start implementing solutions to take action.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Louisville, we've had previous Democratic mayors recently, obviously. And one question that I have for you is how are you going to switch directions, or do you plan on switching directions? If you could give basically some of the ways that you're going to change, some ways that your administration is going to deviate from the previous administration, and why you think that's a good plan.
I have always, my entire life, sought to turn dreams into reality, to take big challenges, to take big projects and make them happen. That's what I've done in my business career. That's what and that's what I want to do as mayor. To me, incremental improvement is not enough. It's not an option. We must be focused right now on big transformative changes. And so that's why I'm running for mayor, is to work with people that share those goals, that whether it's building 15,000 new affordable housing units, whether it is creating a universal pre-K program so that every 3 and 4-year-old child has an opportunity to get the same great start in education in life. Those are huge initiatives that I firmly believe we can make happen right now. And so that's why I'm running for mayor, is to make major changes. And I think that's what the city's looking for on public safety, on housing, on education, on climate. You go down the list.
So to move to big changes in community relations, you've talked about how you're running through every precinct in Louisville, trying to bring the communities together, which is really amazing. But if you could speak a little bit to how you plan to move forward in wake of some of the Black Lives Matter protests, in wake of the pandemic, and the many, many divides that our city faces.
You are 100% right. There are a lot of divides across our city right now. The best thing that I can do is to listen. And that's what I've been trying to do since even before I ran for mayor. Each one of us has our own unique experiences. And I think it's important that we listen to others that have had very different experiences than us. And so that's what I've been doing for several years now, is meeting people, listening to people, learning about their experiences, and getting to know them. And learning about their or their neighborhood's individual issues and challenges, but also then seeing what the common challenges are facing our entire city. Because I think it's critically important to be the mayor of all of Louisville. We have a large geographic city that's Louisville. We have urban areas, we have suburban areas, we even have some rural areas in Louisville. We have east, west, north, south, each so many wonderful neighborhoods that each have their own unique identity. But there's a lot that we share in common. And so that's what I'm focused on. And I think it's critically important that in my administration, I have people that are reflective of our entire Louisville, particularly people that haven't had a chance to have leadership roles in city government before to make real meaningful and lasting change in our city.
So you're looking to give representation.
Absolutely. To me, that's critically important. And I expect to be judged on that, and I expect to be held accountable. That's something that I feel like people running for office don't talk about enough, is accountability. I'm running for office right now. I'm sharing with the community ideas I've heard from others, my own ideas, what I will do as mayor. When I came out with my public safety plan, it had a checklist. And at the very top of the checklist, I said, I expect to be held accountable for doing these things. And I think that's critically important, is for people to hold their elected officials accountable and to remember all of these lofty goals that they're talking about during an election. To me, we must accomplish them.
All right. Well, if we could just move to one last question about recent events. Many of our viewers, I guess, may or may not know, but you were recently the victim of an attempted shooting in your office. If you want to speak to sort of how that changed the campaign, or if it changed the campaign that you're running for mayor, if it realigned any of your priorities, and just what that means to you to be one of many, many gun violence victims in our city.
Yeah, that was a a really horrible, unwanted experience. In case anybody has not heard, on Valentine's Day, February 14th, my team, 4 other members of my campaign team, and I were in my campaign office having a Monday morning meeting. An individual walked into our office and pointed a gun directly at me and fired 6 shots. And I am very fortunate to still be here. I still to this day don't know how or why I'm still here after that incident. But what I do know and what I think about every day since that shooting is that my purpose in life has to be to make Louisville safer. Mm-hmm. Because when there is senseless gun violence like my team and I experienced, it doesn't just impact the 5 of us in that room. It impacts our entire team, our families, our friends, and that's what's going on in Louisville right now. As we sit here today, 50 people in Louisville have already been killed by guns in 2022. That is 50 people too many. Hundreds more have been injured, and that means thousands and thousands of family members, friends, and neighbors have been impacted. That has such an enormous negative impact on our community that this needs to be our number one priority. And so my view, and what this shooting has done, is it's given me more resolve than ever before. Public safety has been the number one issue since I started running for mayor. But I have a stronger resolve than ever before to work with whoever wants to be a part of the solution, to work with victims of crime, their family, to work with those who are formerly incarcerated, work with law enforcement, work with people who are advocating for reform, mental health providers, medical professionals, whoever has an idea to be a part of the solution to make Louisville safer, to keep our kids and our neighbors safe. I want to join the solution in whatever way possible, whether that means joining the administration, chairing a committee, just serving as a neighborhood block watch captain, whatever it might be. I want people to be a part of the solution. And so this tragedy has really given me while it is a horrible, unwanted experience that I hope no one else ever has to experience, I think it's an important experience that now is part of my life, part of my and my family's story, that will hopefully inform me and make me an even better candidate, person, and mayor.
All right, well, I don't really have any more questions for you, but is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think what you guys are doing on campus here at U of L is wonderful. I think that there's so many great opportunities for you and your colleagues on this campus, and U of L is such an important part of the city. I'm a huge supporter. I'm a former member of the Board of Trustees at the University of Louisville. I advocated for transparency with the administration at the time, a former administration. I learned from that transparent organizations can be stronger organizations, and that's one of the things that's guiding me is on my path to hopefully be the next mayor of Louisville. And I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that I advocated for stopping tuition increases that I thought at the time were unnecessary, and we were actually successful in my last year as a member of the Board of Trustees. And so this is an organization, an institution that I care a lot about. I'm glad that you guys are doing what you all are doing on campus. I'm a former student government president myself when I was at college. And so I really respect what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work, and it's always great to be on campus.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.